Did I ever tell y'all I was on the Dr. Oz show for having bed bugs? The story is completely bonkers. So this story is actually really funny, but I'm also going to highlight why I think this is such a triggering topic, especially for women, because I was so traumatized by this that I can't even look at a picture of a bed bug. That's why I'm covering it up right now, so anybody who's experienced this before does not have to look at them. But given that this is in the news lately, because of Paris Fashion Week or whatever you call it, I'm sure they're in Lyon, where I live. I'm already losing sleep over this crap. Apparently they're shutting down school, and now London is talking about having it on their subways, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure it's coming to New York. I mean, they're always in New York, but it's probably going to get really bad in New York, which is where I had them. Now, I actually saw myself on television on the Dr. Oz show while I was on a plane. They never told me what day this episode was airing. The only record I have of my appearance on this show, I don't have footage of me on this show. I can't find my interview on that episode, but basically they cut out most of it because I was really funny in my interview, and the producers afterwards were like, yeah, your stuff was too funny. So my interview, I'm basically like, yeah, I had bed bugs. Yeah, I went crazy. And then they cut it. It was the dumbest first television appearance of my life ever. So one of the reasons I was asked to be on that show, because the Dr. Oz show reached out to some exterminators, and they found my guy and asked him if he would be on the show and if they could also talk to one of his clients. And he was like, this guy, I love him. He saved me. I was apparently one of his most memorable cases. And also he knew that I was a storyteller and a comedian, so he was like, oh, Vaseline would love to do this. That's his nickname for me. He called me Vaseline. Because one of the dumb things that I did when I was on my guerrilla warfare against bedbugs, because our exterminator didn't do jack, and basically was like, psh, 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 and then, okay, you're good. And our landlord wouldn't pay for it. So this was an apartment that I was basically staying for almost nothing by a friend, so that I was managing the whole building for her. And this bed was like a bunk bed. Double-sided tape and Vaseline all over it to try to keep bed bugs from crawling up to me. And so when he first saw me, he was like, what the hell is this? Some sort of witchcraft? Don't ever get your advice from the internet. That's why we exist. When they first saw me, they were like, you look like you haven't slept in months. And I was like, yeah, I have not. And so they actually let me spray some of the stuff. Everything in my apartment, most of which was not mine. Again, I was kind of almost long-term subletting, kind of house sitting kind of for a friend. All of her stuff I put in bags. Bags. I wanted to write a song called Bags, Trash Bags. I literally lived by headlamp. Every night for weeks and weeks and weeks, I was looking for these forkers. My headlamp, I was obsessed. I was terrified. Everything literally was in bags. And I didn't know what to do about it because our exterminator wasn't doing anything. I almost just gave up. I was just going to live like this. And if any of you know my story, a lot of this is a trauma response. Whatever was not in bags, I kept in my bathroom in the bathtub. I was in serious survival mode. I did not know what to do. I mean, seriously, all this stuff. None of this was mine. I even put the guitar in a bag within the thing. Just bags everywhere. I put books in the freezer because I knew that was a safe place from the bed bug. And I didn't even have it very bad. It was the girl upstairs who had it. And she didn't tell me about it for a long time, which means they then spread to me. At one point in time, I was sleeping in the kitchen in an armchair. I was so afraid of being in my bed. I felt helpless. It was that almost learned helplessness response. And so when these dudes came over, we took photo shoots together. I was like, you guys saved my life. So when Dr. Oz called the exterminator, he was like, oh, I got your girl. And he calls me up, yo, Vaseline, you want to be on TV? This guy was straight out of Queens. And I was like, sure. The funny thing is that Dr. Oz show lied to him to get to me. They uninvited him from being on the show. So on the day of the show, they picked me up in they send this car, a black, Lexus with tinted windows, and this pretty hot driver come pick me up and take me to 30 Rock. It's this is me in the waiting room with my new BFF, who is an expert on all this stuff, became my personal advisor anytime, because I got bed bugs 2 more times after this, because people kept moving into our place, not telling, upstairs, not telling anybody that they just moved from a bed bug apartment. Then, shocker, they followed them. So every time I would call her and she would tell me exactly what to do, and I would call my bed bug guy and he would immediately step into action and nip it in the bud. So I'm kind of making fun of this whole thing. By the way, right across from me was Rosie O'Donnell's dressing room. I was like, oh my God, So they had my buddy on the show, and she gave some really good information. They also had this woman on the show, and she was in the audience. And basically, Dr. Oz tried to humiliate her. He was like, do you know anything about bed bugs? She was like, well, I don't know. I know that, maybe I'm scared of them. They seem like a nuisance. And he basically just kept trying to make her look stupid. Not only did he do this, planted a fake bed bug on her to be like, it's really easy for them to pass. Like, he had someone plant a fake one on her shoulder. Like, I hate this man. This is not bullying, harassment, okay? Take time. This is me telling a story and giving my opinion on this person who is now like a right-wing, awful, awful person. Probably always was. Okay, so the only evidence I have of even being on that show is the pictures I took of the plain TV. This is me walking on stage. By the way, they had to do, I was like, this is back when I never like dressed, like, I just dressed like a slob. They had to do a lot to make me look presentable. I was used to living in the wilderness, y'all, and moving to New York City was a big adjustment for me. So he's asking me all these questions. Look at my face here. I'm like, because at a certain point, because I was answering, like, I was just went into like storyteller mode, because that's what I was doing in New York City. Winning them off, I was telling stories. I've been doing comedy at the Upright Citizens Brigade. Like, I have a background in comedy. And he's asked me questions and I'm being brutally honest. And in the background, while I'm answering these questions, is this photo where I look nuts. So I'm trying to explain why I went so crazy. And he kept pinching my arm to get me to shut up, which is what this face is about. And they just cut most of the interview anyway. Now, one of the good things that did come out of that, besides a hilarious adventure at 30 Rock, meeting like an expert on bed bugs who I had this personal cell phone number of, who could advise me anytime I had a scare, was that going public with this, you would not believe how many people would DM me being like, I'm losing my mind, Melanie, what do I do? This thing affects mental health more than anything I think I've ever had, because it triggered all of my trauma. I did not know until I had bed bugs that I had experienced in schmest. And I think this is one reason why a lot of women lose their mind when they get bed bugs or when they get mold. A very close person in my life had a lot of trauma come up when she got mold. Anything that is in the home that makes you feel unsafe, that is literally endangering you, but you can't fight it. Does it seem like a familiar theme? Like, my response to the bed bugs really scared me, because at a certain point I was just like, I wasn't sleeping, but I wasn't doing anything. I was in total freeze response. And every night and also what I have realized since, having even more memories of what happened to me as a kid, in this, what's supposed to be the safety of my home with a safe person, is that most of my trauma with men, especially my sexual trauma with men, has happened when I was asleep. And bed bugs attack women, or they attack humans when we're asleep. So it's not just women, y'all, but a lot of women have schmegsual trauma, what men have done to us in our sleep, whether it's when we were children or our husbands or boyfriends, or, we pass out drunk on a couch and some nasty guy comes in and starts doing stuff to us. I can't tell you how many times that happened to me in college, or while I was couch surfing, or, just traveling. Men invading our spaces when we are our most vulnerable, sleeping, is a very common theme for women. So then you have bed bugs that literally wait until you are asleep to suck the blood out of you, to literally prey on you, leave evidence, but you can't find them. You don't know how to get rid of them. Feel attacked in the one place you're supposed to feel safe. Seriously, bed bugs started like a 15-year journey of healing. And honestly, it was my biggest fear was to get bed bugs. I remember someone came over to my house, a friend came over to my house, and she was like, she sat on my couch. This is before I got bed bugs, long before. This has been in New York, and I had been seeing like advertisements for bed bug, and I've been hearing about these things that are gonna like ruin your life. She sat on my couch, and then right before she left, she's like, yeah, I'm dealing with bed bugs right now. As soon as she left, I took the couch and I put it on the curve. I literally threw a whole couch away because of this girl sitting on it. Chances are she did not bring bed bugs in my house, but she could have. I searched by headlamp every night for bed bugs. Y'all, I became insane, completely insane, because that traumatized little girl never felt safe at home is now fighting the bad guys again in her home. That's why so many people go crazy with bed bugs.